And we say good morning to you. Happy Thursday, best day of the week. It is Thursday, the 22nd day of March, 2018. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We're back at it here live from Studio 4 in downtown Wenatchee. Thanks for starting your day with us here on the NCW Live channel. I hope you ended your day with us, your Wednesday, with us on the NCW Live channel after our live town hall forum at
Great
Wenatchee
show.
High School. I think we did okay.
I think you did a great job last night moderating the event, and I think everybody has probably a better idea of what they're voting on April 24th.
I hope so. I learned a lot, and I thought I knew pretty much everything there was to know about this construction bond. I learned even more.
That's right.
Yesterday. Dan Coots, your host. Steve Hare, our news director. Kat in control. And speaking of the bond, this is our fourth and final in the series of the interviews that we've been doing all this week about the $120 million construction bond that Steve just referred to for Wenatchee High School. Two of the guys who know the guts of that building about as good as anybody, Lance Coleman, who is an HVAC technician, and Christopher Lutkin, who feeds a bunch of kids. We're going to talk about the deteriorating HVAC system, the plumbing system, the kitchen needs major remodeling and repairs, all that stuff. The guts of the building is as much as concerned as anything else.
That's right. That's right. The infrastructure is critical.
Yeah.
And, well, not to mention the expansion needs as well.
And we were talking to both Chris and Lance off camera as they were getting settled and enjoying their coffee. And Chris said it best. He said some things simply, you can't fix it anymore. You get to the point where you just fix it over and over and over again, and eventually it just won't take.
And again, really the big challenge for the school district is breaking that 60% supermajority to pass the bond, which is required by state law.
60% supermajority and 40% turnout.
That's right.
So that's the
validation
threshold. Yeah, the validation. So that's exactly the word. So that'll be the second half of the show. Don't miss that. You're going to like that a lot. Steve has the news. Wenatchee Wild, we are tied at 2 games apace. They just took it to Vernon last night.
They did. But somebody's got to win a road game here.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's holding hold ice.
So now the last 3 games will be, I guess, Vernon,
Wenatchee,
here,
Vernon. Yep.
Okay, if necessary.
If necessary. Game number 5 will be in Vernon tomorrow night. We are going to endeavor to Skype with our checker for tomorrow's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Get you in that wild hockey mood. Hopefully, there will be a game 6. Well, we know there will be a game 6 back here in Wenatchee. Yeah. That's guaranteed. So the Wild just seemed to flip the pages of the script and said, let's just take it to these guys. I mean, they won last night 7-1. It could have been 12-1. I think they have to, you know, those red lights that they use when you score. I think they blew the light bulb out last night. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. So we got wild highlights. Also, we have the obscure holiday. We have Today in History, we have birthdays, we have Everyone is Entitled to Mike Minotti's Opinion, and a brand new feature. We'll be doing it every Thursday from this point forward. Your good friend and mine, Megan, has put together the Pet of the Week.
Oh, great. We're bringing it back.
We're bringing it back, and our Pet of the Week feature will be every Thursday with our very own Megan McPherson, and that will be coming your way at the bottom of the hour. See if we can find Mittens a home.
Mittens?
Mittens is the Pet of the Week this week.
I had a cat named Mittens at one time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah? I had a cat once that had just one back leg, 2 front legs and 1 back leg. We called it Tripod.
I thought you called it Eileen.
No, Eileen, that's cute. Didn't miss the leg. Tripod would hop around like a bunny. Yeah. Just seemed perfectly normal, just only had 3 legs.
Hey, I've been doing it for years.
So that was a great cat. I miss Tripod. 4 minutes after the hour, let's take you around North Central Washington with our Valley View cameras. All of these courtesy of Localtel Sky-Fi high-speed wireless network. That's our bumper. Let's. There we go. There's Wenatchee.
Dad blushes.
Yeah. Well, that's hilarious, Steve. I don't want to. You're funny. You're just a funny guy. That's Wenatchee. Look at those low clouds. It's going to be a wet day this morning.
A little dreary this morning. We got some rain last night.
That's what you told me. I missed the whole thing. I must have slept right through it.
It woke me up around midnight, and it rained fairly heavily, at least in the East Wenatchee area, for about an hour last night. Yeah.
Rainfall total, since it came after midnight, and of course the Weather Service does midnight to midnight, we won't know the rain totals for today until tomorrow, but I'm interested to find out about that.
And again, we're going to get to the past report and everything else, but I was told by Rivercom dispatchers this morning that there are reports of scattered rocks in the roadway. It's not specific to any area, but traditionally 97A has been one of those areas where you get the sloughing off during the rain episodes, so be on the lookout for rocks in the roadway here.
I don't believe you can say sloughing off on television. Camera 2. Where are we going, Kat? Let's find out. Beautiful downtown Wenatchee. Good to see you. Beautiful. You know what? A couple of weeks ago, we asked about that old grain tower, that grain silo that sits up, that kind of dominates the skyline in the south end of town. And I asked the question just off the top of my head if that's still in use. It just sits there, and I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure. If you know, that big gray tall building in the middle that's been around for as long as I can remember, if that's in use, if it just sits there, let us know. Pass along the word. I'm just curious. I'm a curious person by nature. Camera 3. We say good morning to, there's Steve
Let's say
Summer
hi
home.
to Quincy.
Yes,
Vacation home there.
Monument, Monument Hill out there in Quincy. That's Steve and Lynette's summer home that you see within the shot there. Looks good.
It's coming along.
Yeah,
It's coming along.
It's a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
It's a fixer-upper.
A work in progress.
Yeah, it gives you something to do on weekends. So beautiful Quincy. Good morning, Quincy. Thanks for joining us. Who has to, you see your driveway that goes up to your summer home? Who has to plow that in the wintertime? Is that you, Steve? You go out there with the snowblower?
We're in a little dispute with the county right now.
Okay, we won't get into that. Camera 4. That is, I want to say, Hose Landing?
That's Entiat.
It's Hose Landing. Woohoo! I went 4 for 4 today. I'm batting 1,000. Beautiful Entiat. You can see where the...
Well, you can see way up the Entiat Valley
Yeah,
there.
quite a bit. You can see with the Entiat
Almost
River.
Ardmore.
Columbia. One of my favorite places to go in the summertime when people are, you go out to that sandbar, because as the Entiat River goes all the way down, it runs, what, 35, 40 miles? And it brings all that sediment stuff down and it dumps off into the Columbia. And you can almost see where it is. And you're basically standing in the Columbia River, and it's waist-high water, and you're 40 feet out in the river because it brings all of that silt and that sound. That's a very popular place to hang out in the summertime.
Speaking of which, that reminds me, I got to check in with the Ardmore Yacht Club.
Yeah.
To find out what those guys are up to.
We haven't heard from them in a while either. So, looks like, by the way, the Entiat Kite Festival is this weekend. It's Saturday at the Kiwanis Park in Entiat. Looks like the weather's going to be okay for them. They need wind. You can't fly a kite without wind, and about 7 to 10 miles an hour is what he told me, and it's going to be about 7 to 10 miles an hour.
Excellent
so it's going to be a perfect day to go fly a kite.
We'll have more on that, by the way, coming up a little bit later.
Absolutely. That was a great conversation we had last week. It is 7 minutes after the hour. Let's go ahead and do your weather forecast from the National Weather Service. Flood watch that was issued yesterday is still in effect. It won't expire until 11 o'clock tonight, but the heaviest rain is now past us. It's in the rearview mirror. We're still going to get a little bit of rain today, Steve. There's no question about that. It's going to switch over to showers as the day goes on. The whole air mass is really unsettled. It's kind of a mixed bag right now. So a little bit of rain until about noon today, then some showers between noon and about 2. And here's the best part. Clouds this morning gradually becoming sunny.
Good.
As the day goes on, and by the time the day is over, we'll have some sunshine, believe it or not. High today at 54, just about normal for this time of year. We're still looking for maybe another 1/10 of an inch of rain possible, though, before this system exits the area. Partly cloudy tonight. 34 for the overnight low. Slight chance of some snow early Friday morning. It's not going to stick around. I mean, the high is going to be 50, but we could have a flake or two Friday morning. I'm not talking about you and me. I'm talking about snowflakes, Steve. Friday night, slight chance of rain, 31 for the overnight low. That's well below normal. In fact, look at those normals, 29, 31. That's pretty chilly.
That is chilly.
For late March. Not a bad weekend, mixed bag Saturday. Sunshine, but cool. High of only 51, and then Sunday, good looking day. Lots of sunshine at 53, and we're setting up for a pretty nice week next week.
So we're talking about fruit forecast?
Oh, yeah.
The fruit frost forecast.
The fruit frost forecast. We don't do that here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 9 minutes after the hour, let's go to the passes. Ladies and gentlemen, please use an automobile. That is a live shot of I-90.
That looks bare and wet.
It is bare and wet. There are no advisories. There are no restrictions on Snoqualmie Pass at this hour. Let's go live.
Standing water in places.
Yeah, it could be in places.
So pontoons are advised.
Stevens Pass, there you go, bare and wet, no advisories, no restrictions. Looking at that, and as we go back in our time lapse in our mind at the ski resort there, they've had, looks like, significant snow melt there over the last, say, few weeks. That's what I'm looking at there. Good morning, Stevens. Nothing going on. Smooth sailing. Blew it. Looks like this.
Oh,
there you go. Just a little foggy. Now, sometimes it can be a little deceiving. Like a couple of days ago, it looked like it was snowing. That's just dirt on the lens. So it kind of throws you for a little bit of loop. There's nothing really coming down on Blewett. There is some poor visibility, but that's really it. Forecast today, a couple of inches of snow possible. If it comes down at all today, it will be now, and it didn't look like it was snowing to me. Tonight for the mountain passes, an inch tops. Friday, maybe an inch. Friday night, maybe an inch. Maybe an inch on Saturday. So they're going to get off and on snow. Nothing really sticking to the road. No significant snow showers expected in the Cascades right now. All the passes have no advisories. and no restrictions. This show has no restrictions, but many, many advisories. 10 minutes after the hour. 1 minute break. The news with Steve Hare is next. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 3 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
High school sports is back this spring on the NCW Life Channel. Do you like baseball? We've got you covered with the Wenatchee Panthers and the Eastmont Wildcats. How about softball? We have you covered there too with fast pitch action right here. How about lacrosse? Yep, got you covered there too with the Wenatchee Valley Thunder. And of course, there's boys soccer. Whatever your interest, we've got you covered on your home for high school spring sports, the NCW Life Channel.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Good morning and welcome to this March 22nd, a Thursday. Here's what's happening in North Central Washington news. First of all, recapping the big event from last night, the NCW Live channel presented a live town hall last night to discuss the $120 million construction bond proposed for Wenatchee High School. Administrators, board members, teachers, students, also citizen facility committee members all spoke to a live television audience last night from within the Wenatchee High School's LGI room. A focus of concern, the current condition of that 45-year-old building.
All the infrastructure systems are nearing the end of their useful life, and I don't know if those of you at home can see over here that there's a clock that has the intercom system. We used to have the lights when we would switch periods, and right above it is a nice battery-operated clock, I assume, so that there isn't a way of making announcements or signaling to people in the classroom, students and teachers about when class periods are over and when there are announcements and all those kinds of things.
My English class was doing a project about boasting, and one student got very into it, and he was very loud and very rambunctious, and then we found out that the class next to us actually heard the entire thing and stopped their lesson plan because it was so loud. They thought it was entertaining, but I think it would be hard to be the teacher having to just stop class.
Just earlier this year, I was sitting in my classroom and I felt something drop on my head. And I thought somebody was just throwing something at me as a joke. And then it turned out that there was water falling from the ceiling. I was dropping right on my head, and that's happened to me multiple times.
We love coming back from those trainings and thinking about how to do education differently for our 21st century learners, and then we're faced with some facilities that really give us the challenge of how to do that well.
As a CTE department, we're always striving to prepare students for industry level type certifications or industry level training, and our facilities simply are lacking in that area. Just for example, in our health ops department, Mitzi has just one sink to work with to train her nurses how to scrub up.
And the tech is patchwork. I have to constantly cobble things together and scavenge for things to make it work. And then the HVAC system is really literally hot and cold. It's all over the place. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. And it also has this weird, unique ability that if I leave an object out for too long, it develops dust bunnies on top, which is a bit disconcerting.
Again, that was from last night's town hall at the Wenatchee High School. Ballots, by the way, will be in the mail the first week of April, with Election Day set for April 24th, which is the deadline to get those ballots back to the auditor's office. NCW Live Channel will re-air last night's town hall throughout next week. Monday at 11:30, Tuesday at 2:30, Wednesday at 3:30, Thursday at 8:30, Friday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and Saturday at 9 a.m. In fact, we'll also be posting it and special extended Q&A to our website at ncwlife.com, so you can watch that at your convenience. Also, the January jobless rate for the Wenatchee labor market is the lowest ever recorded for that month since records started back in 1990. Unemployment rate dropped from 7.8% to 7.1% as the labor force expanded and the number of unemployed dropped substantially. Also in the Wenatchee market, the annual average unemployment rate fell from 6% to 5.2%, an 0.8 of a percentage point decrease. The labor report, compiled by Don Messick, our regional labor economist with the Employment Security Department. Meanwhile, county commissioners from several states with legalized recreational marijuana met recently in Washington, D.C. as part of the National Association of Counties annual conference. Chelan County Commissioners Keith Gaynor and Doug England participated in those talks. Gaynor tells NCW Live News that there are a lot of issues of mutual concern when it comes to pot.
The issues are really the same. I mean, where do you locate your grows? How do you deal with the retail component? And so some of the things that we've been able to work through, I think we were able to share, where we've come and what not to do, and don't, make assumptions. But I think for me, one of the bigger moments, it was just talking with another person from a county here in Washington who doesn't deal in the industry like we do in Chelan County. And it was interesting that their perception of how the industry is working is totally different than what we've experienced. So I think there's a lot to be learned by shared experiences, and then trying to come up with legislation that helps people deal with the problems, in a more proactive manner rather than trying to come and change things after the fact. So it was a good conversation.
I think too, one of the common problems that they're all having is that their states are looking at it as a revenue producing. It's not a matter of the right to have marijuana, it's how much money can we raise off of it. And at the county level, everyone is experiencing a lack of funding. There is such an increase in revenue, but it's all being kept at the top and not be funneled into other projects, not into enforcement. And there are some real enforcement problems that have come up. The gentleman from one of the commissioners from Colorado have been able to document a much higher increase of accidents that are involved with marijuana. The disturbing tests that have shown that a very high percentage of newborn children now already have marijuana in their bloodstream. This wasn't an issue of whether or not it should be allowed. It was an issue of how it can be done in a way that won't really disrupt what society has come to expect.
Now, there are currently 9 states, including the District of Columbia, that have legalized recreational or medicinal marijuana laws in place, or both. Also, the issue of Bitcoin mining will be revisited by the Wenatchee City Council tonight. Public hearing is scheduled in connection with the council's recent ban on at-home cryptocurrency mining. The council's action is in response to concerns raised by Chelan County PUD officials over Bitcoin mining in residential neighborhoods. Officials at a recent council meeting talked about the burden that high-density loads puts on the grid and the fire dangers it poses.
I brought a couple of examples of what happens to our distribution system, or our supply cables and our transformers, when this type of application is not approved and we haven't had the opportunity to size equipment appropriately. So this first is a wire. It's a supply wire. It was an overhead supply wire. And you can see the insulation, because of the amperage or the electricity moving through this particular cable, exceeded its rating, that the insulation burned off there. You can see up here the arcing and sparking and the breakdown of the insulation components, right? So this is what happens when you push too much energy through a line that wasn't designed for that. Another example, this is a little bit different looking, but if you can all think about one of those fiberglass handholds, maybe an irrigation box in your yard. We make electrical connections in those flush ground handholds, the green handholds. This one happened to be about 2 foot by 2 foot by 18 inches. The overloaded cables went phase to phase, started an arc which caught the handhole on fire and burned the handhole. This is what was left of that handhole. It also started a grass fire, about a ½ an acre grass fire. Unfortunately, the first responders were able to get there in time just before it was catastrophic to catching a neighbor house on fire.
That was from a recent City Council meeting in Wenatchee. Tonight's public hearing will help council members work with the PUD to establish new regulations during the term of the 12-month moratorium. Our meeting tonight starts at 5:15 at City Hall. And one final note here, a historic mural by famed Wenatchee artist Walter Graham has now been donated to the city by Washington Federal Bank. The tile mural was removed from the bank's North Wenatchee Avenue branch when the building was demolished to make way for a new branch office. Now the construction work continues on the new bank, which will replace the downtown branch. Here's Regional Bank Manager Ken McLean, who explains.
That building went up in 1960 actually, and I think the mural was part of the original building, and it was Walter Graham, and it had a great Wenatchee classic scene that was just built in mosaic on tiles on the wall, and so it was of great interest to us to preserve that, and we tried to find a couple of different suitors that might be able to take that, and ultimately the city of Wenatchee is going to make use of it, and so Washington Federal paid to get that removed very carefully. You had to find somebody who knew how to do that, and put it in storage for them for a while, and then the city has plans of reinstalling that at a later date.
Meanwhile, the city's Parks and Recreation Department Director Dave Erickson complimented the bank for preserving the artwork.
So once it came off the wall, the bank stored it for a while and then had to move it. So we ended up moving it up, I believe, up here to our Public Works building so it can be safely stored until the time comes where it can be reinstalled. So all in all, it's just a really nice partnership with the bank to save a kind of an iconic piece of Wenatchee history on that mural.
Now, the future home for the mural could be in the old federal building now owned by Local-Tel. City wants to purchase part of the building from the communications company to relocate some services currently located at City Hall. The bank should be open in a couple of months. And again, interesting little story about that mural. And when we first moved to Wenatchee, we used that bank when it was Seafirst.
Yeah, sure,
it became
absolutely.
Bank of America, now it's Washington Federal. But as a result of building the new bank, they're going to be closing down the downtown branch, which you can probably see behind me there in that picture.
As a matter of fact, I can see a bird anyway.
Right?
There you go. Yeah. It is a really cool mural, and I'm glad it's going to find a new home.
Yeah.
And the federal building is a perfect place for it. They got the space for it.
I can think the lobby area would be a beautiful area for that. Yeah.
But it deserves to be seen and appreciated. 100%.
I think so too.
Absolutely, it's absolutely unique. Another quick little programming reminder. Steve mentioned we're going to rebroadcast our live town hall forum that we broadcast last night from the Wenatchee High School auditorium. We went from 7 to 8 o'clock, but we realized we still had a lot of ground to cover, so we took a quick little 5-minute break. The people who were there, the presenters and everything, and our camera people and everything. And then we continued with the forum. Even though it wasn't live on TV, we went ahead and taped some more stuff to get some more information out there. We talked specifically finances and what's this going to cost me, said Joe Q, taxpayer. We touched on that. We read some of the emails and Facebook comments, and we got some response from that. So we actually went for another half an hour. We went from about 8:05 to about 8:30, and that's going to be incorporated wholesale into our rebroadcast. There's more to it than what you saw last night from 7 to 8.
Also want to send out a big thank you to the folks out there who shared questions or concerns on our website and on Facebook and such. So, hey, thanks a lot for that.
And a reminder, we're going to be talking one more time with a group of people that we've been doing all week long, and today we're going to talk about the infrastructure of Wenatchee High School. The kitchen and the HVAC system and the plumbing and the electrical, and it's got problems. Yeah. We'll talk about that.
I like the one comment that the girl had last night. She goes, the only windows I have in my classroom are Windows 10.
Windows 10, yeah. That cracked me up. That was pretty funny. We got some good teachers in the North Central Washington area. Wenatchee, Eastmont, we got some good, dedicated teachers around here. They're doing a good job. 24 minutes after the hour, the news with Grant Olson at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Grant Olson is our anchor. Eric Granstrom, who I don't think sleeps anymore. I'm not sure. He handles the sports. Grant handles the weather. We have a nice little tidy news package that we're very proud of. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Also available on demand in the late afternoon hours by going to ncwlife.com. You want to be a part of the news team?
Boy, we need you.
We need you. Now, quick heads up, we're not paying you.
No stringer fees.
No stringer fees, but we'd still love to hear from you. Steve, do the honors, please.
But we will be forever grateful. Thank you for sharing your news tips with us. In fact, our breaking news hotline is 888-NCWL. I got it right this time. Also, any number of ways you can contact us for communication purposes through our website. On the little Contact Us tab, just hit that. You can do it by email, address news@ncwlife.com, and as always, you can contact us on Facebook and Twitter.
25 minutes after the hour. Yesterday at this time it was 31 degrees. This morning it's 41 degrees. Overcast, rain this morning. By the time you're out the door, 5:30, 6 o'clock tonight, the sun will be back. But we still have that flood watch for the rest of the day today. Heads up on that. All right, going to take a quick break. When we come back, sports. Wenatchee Wild, Vernon Vipers, they started doing this at the end of the game, Steve, and I'm not talking rockin' sockin' robots. Things got a little nasty. Highlights from Game 4. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live from Studio 15 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
We know crunch.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
And we are back at it 27 minutes after the hour on this Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Sports. We're tied. The Wenatchee Wild have come back to tie the second round of the BCHL playoff series with Vernon. We're now tied at 2 games apiece, 7-1. The final last night. Josh Arnold and Sam Morton both lit the lamp twice. Wenatchee had a big lead heading into the third period, and that's when things got a little chippy. Art Checker on the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network.
Things it back around, and here's Arnold, tries to hammer it home, shoots, he scores! Sharply over for Vanderbeck. He wheels, turns, throws it on net, he scores! Grandma passed the Crisco, because that one must have been slathered up to be able to squeeze through Taylor. Stratton, he's in front, he shoots, he scores! Murphy Stratton came off the right wall and rifles it high over the blocker side's shoulder. Picked up top, back to the midpoint, shot through traffic, and it's in. Sends it back down low, pressure from Iannone, he steals it, he's in, he shoots, on a glove sleeve, rebound shot, rebound, score! Nice hit. And Galambos is going to go with Lansdell. He's in, he cranks off the pipe, loose puck is scored! Sam Morton. And Brown trying to jump on Sasaki's back, and Sadekowski was trying to help pull him off. Center sends it over on the left wing for Souter. And a delayed penalty coming. Souter gets taken down. And now Weatherby comes over and he gets jumped back behind the net. And the Vipers are just waiting for an opportunity to try to suck as many Wild into this ridiculousness as possible. And the Wild just need to really just let it go. Stratton back across. Dorsey cuts to his right. He's in, threaded through, shot, score! Sam Hessler wide open on the back door, and a perfect pass from Matt Dorsey to Hessler. On the left wing, there's Souter. Dangles in front, backhand, shot, score! Josh Arnold. Souter did all the beautiful work, entering the zone, dangling in, cutting across to his right, and then just ever so slick as you please, dished it back for Arnold for the easy finish. And the horn sounds as the Wenatchee Wild repay the favor. After a 7-1 loss in Game 1, the Wild respond with a 7-1 victory in Game 4.
Yeah, pretty dominating performance by the Wenatchee Wild. So now Game 5 tomorrow night in Vernon, 7 o'clock to the Les Schwab scoreboard we go. So no matter what happens tomorrow, there's going to be a Game 6. We know that. It'll be Saturday night at 7 at the Town Toyota Center. We're going to endeavor to hook up via Skype with my good friend Art Checker for tomorrow's edition here of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. To basketball we go. Gonzaga Bulldogs back to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. They're in Los Angeles tonight. 6:59 tip-off. They'll take on Florida State on TBS. The Zags game will be the final of the 4 being played today. Loyola Chicago will take on Nevada at 4:07 on CBS. Texas A&M and Michigan are on TBS at 4:27. Then it's Kansas State and Kentucky at 6:37 on CBS. The other 4 games, of course, will be played tomorrow. By Sunday, we will have our final 4. Let's take a look at the prep schedule for today. In boys soccer, Cascade will host Okanagan, 4:30 there. OMAC at Kashmir. Manson travels to Brewster. All of those at 4:30. A couple of softball games on the schedule for today. Cascade will host Cle Elum beginning at 4. Brewster's at Kashmir at 4:30. Finally, on the prep schedule today, the Wenatchee boys and girls golf teams up in Chelan today. It's a 2:30 tee-off. In tennis, Wenatchee will host Eisenhower at 3 o'clock. Eastmont's on the road at Davis at 3 o'clock. And Tenasket will play host to Entiat beginning at 4. And finally in sports, nice day for Mike Zunino, the Mariner catcher, 4 for 4 in Seattle's game in Peoria against Milwaukee. 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. Save it for the regular season, Mike. The one-man wrecking crew helped the Mariners to a 7-4 victory. Mike Leake was the beneficiary on the mound. He allowed 4 runs, 10 hits, 6 innings, earned the victory. Seattle will host Texas in Peoria today. Marco Gonzalez will take the ball. A friendly reminder, 1 week from today, opening day of the baseball season. And for the first time in 50 years, all teams, every Major League Baseball team, will play on opening day. I cannot wait. 32 minutes after the hour. It's time for the obscure holiday of the day today. Speaking of obscure, it looks a little foggy out there. That looks to be the monument camera again. It's hard to tell. Oh, that's the cross cam. Wow, boy, the clouds just came right in, didn't it, in the last few minutes? Again, we're going to get sunshine later on today. You just got to be a little patient. The holiday of the day today, it is International Goof Off Day. It's also National Goof Off Day. I recommend a heaping hearty bowl of tasty Goof Off to start your day. Goof Off. It's National Goof Off Day. Again, essentially, don't work. Don't take me literally on that. If you go in today and say, I'm not working because Dan said I didn't have to on TV, you're going to get me in trouble. I mean, strictly speaking, National Goof Off Day means not working, but at least take a break, do something fun, do something different, relax, and goof off. Now, I personally have a PhD in goofing off. National Goof Off Day today, always observed on March 22nd because, well, we don't know. It just is. 34 minutes after the hour, today in history, March 22nd, 1765. The British Parliament made a big mistake. They passed the Stamp Act 253 years ago. Tax directed directly on the American colonies. That's it. That's the actual tax act. The purpose of the Tax Act was to help pay for troops. Remember, the British had just won the 7 Years' War. They decided they're going to keep their troops hanging around in North America. Somebody's got to pay for them, so they said, we'll make the colonists do it. And thus was born no taxation without representation. By the way, all the stamp tax distributors were intimidated into resigning their commissions. The Stamp Act never really went into effect because the guys who were supposed to collect the tax got, beat up. That kind of stuff. But it started something right then and there on this date 253 years ago, 1765. Thank you, King George, for not being particularly bright, or we wouldn't have a country. 124 years ago today, the Montreal Hockey Club, there they are. They defeated the Ottawa Hockey Club. The final was 3-1 in the very first Stanley Cup final game ever played. It was just one game. That was it. They didn't do a best 4 or, best 3 out of 5. There was just one game between Montreal and Ottawa on this date, 1894. Montreal won. They were awarded Lord Stanley's Cup, and so it began 124 years ago today. The oldest trophy, competitive trophy that they fight for and sometimes literally fight for in North America. It started on this date in 1894. And 46 years ago today, on this date in 1972, the United States Congress ratified and sent off to the states the Equal Rights Amendment to be ratified. And it came really close. The deadline was March 22nd, 1979, so they had 7 years to get the necessary 38 states to ratify the ERA and put it in the Constitution. They got to 35 states pretty quickly, Washington among them. They were only 3 states away. And then the conservative women's movement got together and said, I don't like the ERA. They stopped it in its tracks. They even had 4 states rescind their ratifications, which most constitutional experts say you can't really do. And anyway, the ERA came that close to passing, and it was sent to the states for ratification on this date 46 years ago today, back in 1972. And finally, at 36 minutes after the hour, birthdays. Captain Kirk is 87 years old today. T.J. Hooker is 87 years old today. They're both the same guy. William Shatner, born and raised in Canada. Fun facts about William Shatner. He doesn't like to watch himself on television. He says that he has never watched any episode of Star Trek or Boston Legal, nor any of the Star Trek movies, except while editing Star Trek V, which of course he directed, so he had no choice, but he had to watch that. But other sources say, of course, he watches himself on television. Star Trek, okay, but Boston Legal, he was really good. He was really good. William Shatner, 87 years old today. His hairpiece is 12 years old today. They share the same birthday. Happy birthday, Bob Costas, 66, my favorite sports broadcaster, currently working today, but he's not working much anymore. He was the primetime host of 12 Olympic Games on NBC, and you name it, he did it. His entire career with NBC, boxing, golf, Major League Baseball, his favorite sport, NASCAR, the NBA, NFL, NHL, horse racing. Bob Costas did it all, and he will be receiving the Ford Frick Award at the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum coming up this summer. Happy 66th birthday to Bob Costas. 37 minutes after the hour. A brand new edition of Everyone is Entitled to Mike McNaughty's Opinion is coming up. It's about Donald Trump and women. But before we get to that, a brand new feature makes its debut today, and we'll do it every Thursday. Pet of the Week with our friends at the Wenatchee Humane Society. Enjoy.
Hey guys, Megan McPherson here from the NCW Life Channel, and we're here with Renee Parkins, the Development Officer from the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society, and we're also here with Mittens. Renee, can you tell us a little bit about Mittens?
Sure. Mittens is a German Shepherd mix, and she's very fun. She's got a lot of energy. She plays great. She plays in our play groups with other dogs really well. She's not so great with smaller children, and cats are kind of a no-no for her. But other than that, she's just a fantastic dog. She's, as you can see, she knows her commands pretty well. We've got her to sit and lay down a couple times already today. So yeah, she's looking for her forever home. Come on down and meet her and get to know her. She's got all her shots. She's been, spayed, and she is ready to go home today.
And what's the process to adopt an animal here?
So you come down. We always recommend you come in, you meet the animal. If you've got another dog at home, we've got these wonderful play areas like where we are right now, where you can do some introductory things, kind of get to know, the dogs can get to know each other just like you can get to know them. And then you just fill out the paperwork, adoption paperwork. It's processed, and pay the adoption fee, and you can go home.
Awesome. Anything you have to say, Mittens? The Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is located at 1474 South Wenatchee Avenue and is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call them at 509-662-9577 or visit their website at wenatcheehumane.org.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza. Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Why live your life in the dark? At Schmidt Electric, we're one of the oldest and most respected companies in the Pacific Northwest.
Founded by my father in 1960, we have grown from 2 employees to 130.
From small commercial businesses to heavy industrial companies, we employ some of the most respected contractors. We're also a proud member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers for over 50 years. Call us at Schmidt Electric today.
Ready Medi is healthcare made simple and affordable. We are the only direct primary care practice that provides personalized and holistic healthcare in North Central Washington. Our wellness model not only helps prevent heart attacks and strokes, but we also optimize hormones. Affordability is our goal. For example, hip surgery locally is $45,000, whereas our members have the same access for $15,000. Ready Medi, healthcare made simple and affordable.
The NCW Life Channel is your home for local news, local weather, and events including live local high school sports. Watch inspiring local shows featuring local people. Don't miss Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's Learn, Guada TV, Street Talk and Other Stuff, the 12th District, Life with Lisa, and the Arbiter of Stoke. NCW Life Channel is your local TV station.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, when it comes to women, President Trump is a pig. I'm sorry. His disrespectful attitude towards women is just beyond the pale. Now, Bill Clinton, he's also a pig for similar reasons. I'm sorry. His willingness to use his power and position to sexually exploit a subordinate in the Oval Office, for all places, comes from the same attitude of disrespect towards women, which is expressed by our current president. Now, this is why, like them or not, I have respect for guys like George W. Bush and Barack Obama, for who all appearances are faithful and respectful husbands and good fathers to their daughters. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is State Representative Kerry Condata inviting you to check out our newest show on the NCW Life channel. We call it the 12th District. Each week we'll be taking an in-depth look at various political issues that affect our area, our state, and the world. We'll be featuring local and statewide experts on the subject matter at hand. Please join us weekly for the 12th District with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Check your channel guide for times or go to ncwlife.com for details.
We're here to celebrate every season with award-winning dining, full-service spa, and 170 waterfront guest rooms. Come experience our tradition of hospitality at Campbell's Resort on Lake Chelan.
It turns out some people are more likely to do well at charter college and succeed in a new career. So, what's this charter type? Charter types are go-getters. Charter types follow through. Charter types love a challenge. If you're a hard worker looking for a fast path to a better career, you're just our type. Charter College. We work to get you to work.
SkillSource specializes in assessing and guiding youth, adults, and laid-off workers who want to improve their skills. Here you can attend in-depth workshops to assess skills and interests, make career plans, and learn computer basics.
Learning centers provide eligible youth and adults individualized computer-assisted basic education. Vocational training is arranged with approved providers like community colleges or on the job with businesses.
Don't wait any longer. Let's get working on the future you've been dreaming about.
And welcome back to this Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. All this week, We've had 2 guests at a time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and again today, all of them with their specific concerns to talk about the $120 million Wenatchee School construction bond to extensively renovate, remodel, and expand a 46-year-old facility that we know proudly as Wenatchee High School. We wrap up that series with 2 people who know the ins and outs of that building as well as anybody. We're talking about the guts of the building. To my far left is Lance Coleman. You may recognize him. He's been on the show before. He's an HVAC tech. And to my immediate left is Chris Lutkin, who feeds a bunch of kids.
Yes.
Essentially. He's in charge of the nutrition program and the kitchen and everything else. And we're going to get into the guts, pardon the pun, of this building in just a couple of minutes. First of all, Lance, it's good to see you back again. Last time you were here, you were talking Wenatchee Panther, the booster band, the booster club for the Golden Apple Band.
Good morning, Dan.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. They had a great performing year. In the fall, they do their one thing, and then in the spring, they do their marching thing. They just got through with the competition at the high school, yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah,
they big band competition. And
they done good?
Well, I believe they did. I'm not real sure. I haven't heard the results yet.
Okay.
But I believe they did very well. So I'll find out today exactly what went on and how they did. So
I think they need to dedicate $1 million of this $120 million to build a new trophy case for the Golden Apple Marching Band, because you guys are constantly bringing home hardware.
Yes, they have quite a few trophies.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're pretty proud of them.
And you should be.
So,
It's a great performing unit.
Great program.
Lance does HVAC, but he also does kitchen work. Christopher, a little bit about you, Chris, before we get into the deal. Tell folks, introduce you to our audience.
Hi, I'm Chris Lutkin. I am the Director of Nutrition Services. I've been in Wenatchee for about 1.5 years now as the Director. We feed about almost 5,000 meals a day. We're going to be hitting over 900,000. Our goal in the future is over 1 million meals serving our community. And it's just a pleasure to be part of the Wenatchee School District and the great things that are going on.
What brought you here? You came over from Marysville. You told me you've been here about 1.5 years now?
Yeah.
What brought you over here to the big city?
Well, the beautiful weather.
Yeah. Look out the window there, my friend. Did you bring your Marysville weather with you there, bud?
I tried not to.
Yeah.
But no, it's the opportunity to come work for a great school district, the fun things we're doing with local farmers and buying local beef, local pork, local produce. It just was a great opportunity to be part of a good community.
That's a lot of food, but your calling, your job title is to feed the kids healthy stuff.
Absolutely.
And is it those two things mutually exclusive? Healthy food and taste good too?
Absolutely. We have great staff, creative minds that find ways to incorporate the healthy fruits and vegetables we want the kids to eat, but it's not just putting broccoli on a plate. It is finding ways to make it so it's appealing to the students so they eat it, because if they don't eat it, it's not nutrition.
That's true.
So.
Writing that down. They don't eat it. It's not nutrition. So you have a great food program, you got great cooks, you got great pros, and you got a really lousy kitchen. Check out this first photo we have for you. Kat's going to bring that up. Chris, what are we looking at?
We're looking at the bank of the ovens we have there with the plumbing that's leaking and the electrical work, and just trying to get back there to fix things is just nearly impossible. You see that stainless steel wall there. So.
Are you cooking for just the students at Wenatchee High School, or are you preparing meals and shipping them off to some of the other schools in the district? Or does each school have their own kitchen?
Each school has their own kitchen.
Okay.
We are so large there now that we used to serve meals for Westside High School and the Tech Center, but now with the volume of meals that we have, we can't keep up with what we're preparing at the high school with the space that we have.
Photo number 2 will illustrate that point. That is, again, the same kitchen at Wenatchee High School. Why is there a garden hose there? What is that?
That's our plumbing system.
Get out of town.
So that is what we're utilizing right now to make things work in that space down there.
This is all stuff. Most of this stuff is original to the 72-73 opening of the school, correct?
That is correct. That dishwasher you see there, we ended up leasing a dishwasher because the one we had completely shut down. Lance did a wonderful job, but there's only so many parts for old equipment to be able to replace that, so that's where we're at.
Look at that, look at that. Look, hey, there's a whole, first of all, that's a 40-year-old oven. The expression of the lady in the right tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
How can you prepare delicious, nutritious meals to feed the next generation in that kind of thing?
It's a challenge. It's a daily challenge. She's probably opening that door saying, is it going to work today? Because then if not, we have to adjust our menus based on the equipment every day. And Lance does a wonderful job keeping us up and going, but there's only so far you can go with equipment like that.
I'm going to make an assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong. My guess is every day something is going wrong.
Every day, yes.
That's not the way to go about doing things.
No.
Come on down. You're going to see if you can win a 1974 Hobart mixer.
Yes.
That's an industrial mixer, but all things have a life expectancy, and then it quits working, period. And there's one of those things. There are a number of items, not only in the kitchen, and Lance will address HVAC as well, that are simply at this point beyond fixable. You've duct taped and baled wired these things until, but they just simply say, I'm done. I'm just going to quit working.
That's right.
And the technology has changed even with equipment to the point where it's like the cars. Before it'd be easy to repair a car because the parts were all common, but with the equipment and the technology that's gone there, it's just, there's not the parts available to be fixing the old equipment.
The HVAC system, almost all of it, Lance, is the original system.
Yes.
From the cooling units to the duct work.
Yes.
It's all original. Sometimes a school in a warm day in September is 60 degrees because it's going full bore and everybody's freezing.
Right.
Because it's 90 degrees outside, and sometimes in the dead of winter it's 100. It just has a mind of its own.
Right. Right. It is definitely old, and it's way past its life expectancy. The district has definitely got their money out of that equipment. We are now to the point of because we can't get parts for this equipment, we have to manufacture our own parts and rebuild parts that are there. And it gets pretty complicated sometimes just to keep that equipment up and running. And we've put some new compressors in old pieces of equipment just to get them through, and that gets expensive too in the end. It's time to replace that equipment and upgrade it. So
when you go throughout the hallways of Wenatchee High School, you will look up at the ceiling tiles, and they have watermarks all over them. Is that dripping? There's an example right there. What are we looking at there, Lance?
That's in one of the classrooms, and that could be from a roof drain leak. It depends. Sometimes you go in there and you're looking at the HVAC equipment. Sometimes it's that leaking. Sometimes it's the roof leaking. So you just never know what you're going to run into when you go take care of a problem like this. So
and just buying new ceiling tiles and putting them in doesn't solve the problem, does it?
No, that doesn't do the job. So you have to investigate that and find out actually where the leak is coming from and take care of the problem.
There's one photo that we're going to throw up that really alarmed me, and that's one of the cool. This one right there, Lance. This scares me. Explain to people what that is.
Well, you're looking at one of the condensers up on top of the Wenatchee High School, and this is some of the old equipment. You can see the door there, the seals around the door are gone, and we have to keep this equipment running on a daily basis during the summer. It takes quite a bit to keep that old equipment up and running. There's what you can't see in the picture is there's two big fans that run the length of that condenser, and we're going through now and changing bearings in those quite a few times. We grease them once in the spring and once in the fall, and there's two big belts in there that run those fans, and we've put some frequency drives to slow the startup speed on those fans so it doesn't throw belts. We've had issues with them throwing belts, breaking belts, so we've put frequency drives on them which start the fan motor at a slow pace and slowly ramp it up so that doesn't happen. So there's upgrades that we've had to do to minimize some of those service calls on that piece of equipment.
And you probably have the same challenges that Chris does, is that something breaks and you call up the company and say, can you please ship us this part? And the guy goes, we haven't made that part since 1979.
Yes.
That probably happens all the time.
Yes, and that's, again, some of those shafts on those fan motors, we're having to weld and then re-machine, and and fabricate them. So it gets pretty time consuming and expensive.
How many different zones of heating and cooling exist in Wenatchee High School? It's a huge.
Yeah,
does every area have a different zone that has its own requirements? Does it all tie in together?
There's, I think, 18 condensers up on the high school, and those run off of in some of the penthouses up there, we have one big, huge air handler. Sometimes there's two, and that does, say, one of those condensers will do the southwest corner of the high school, which includes, I want to say, 10 to 12 classrooms. So there's a lot of equipment in there.
Do people go in there and keep adjusting the thermostat, or is that off limits?
Well, they try to, but we have a computer, what they call it, building automated system, and in that we can fine tune how much adjustment they have in each classroom, and so we have set parameters that is district wide, and so they do have some adjustment in the thermostat, but only to a certain point.
How's the ductwork doing, the actual piping, if you will, that sends and circulates the air and exchanges the air?
That's a whole nother issue. Our air handlers are so big up there that we have ductwork that's as big as a classroom and you can actually walk into. And it's moving so much air. Sometimes we've had that ductwork blow apart, and we've had to rebuild the ductwork and put strengtheners in. So that gets pretty involved there too. And the air handlers themselves, they're turning two big, huge squirrel cages, and we've had the shafts and bearings go bad in those. And at one point, we actually, they set the units up on the roof back in the 1970s, and then built the walls around the equipment up on top of that building. And so to remove a bearing and shaft in that thing, we had to knock out the concrete blocks to be able to remove the shaft out of those air handlers.
Sounded like a great idea in '71, but it's not such a great idea now.
Yes.
Chris, Joe Q taxpayer says, well, thank you for feeding my kid. They seem to enjoy it. Why don't you just go buy a new mixer? Why don't you just go buy a new oven? Why do I have to? It's not that easy, is it?
It's not that easy. We have a budget. We are a self-sustaining program, but we're covering our costs for everything that we serve and provide. And there's not a lot at the end of the day to be replacing big ticketed items for equipment. So that's the challenge that we're facing, and we've been bringing equipment in. We're storing food in hallways because we just don't have the space available to do that.
That's the next point I was going to bring up. The kitchen equipment we mentioned before is outdated and falling apart, but the kitchen itself is simply too small, right?
It is too small for, we're serving over 1,000 meals a day out of that kitchen. We have 9 staff members in there that are on top of each other, and there's just not enough equipment to be able to do what we're trying to accomplish every day. There's so many students that we're feeding every day that we are now pushing mobile equipment and food down hallways so we can make sure we're meeting the needs of the students and feeding them in time. So that's our challenge, is there's just not enough space, and it's starting to become a safety factor as well.
But I've talked to your kitchen staff. They seem to really enjoy their job. The girls back there, they're always laughing and joking while they're working around. But I would love to see them have the equipment and the space that they need to do their job.
Absolutely.
Not only better, but more efficiently.
Well, right, and it would give them the opportunity to be efficient. We're fortunate to have our high school kitchen manager as an executive chef. She's got a lot of creativeness and ideas for menus, but with the equipment we have, we just aren't capable of providing that at this time. And we're supporting the farmers, and we want to do as much scratch cooking. We don't want to cook out of boxes. We want to cook with fresh food, but we're limited on the space and the equipment that we have at this time.
You can safely, without stepping on toes, tell people to vote yes if you want to on April 24th. Lance, would you like to tell our viewers to vote yes on this bond?
Yes, I would. That would. The high school is in definitely need of upgrading and rebuilding. So that bond is very important.
Chris, are you going to vote yes or no on April 24th? What do you think?
Absolutely yes. I ask to vote yes for this. It's the future of our children and our community, and it's really needed and important that we are prepared for as things change, that our students are prepared for the future.
I'm sure, like, we got to go, Lance. I'm sure you got to go fix something right
I
now.
do.
Your phone's probably going, help, Lance, help.
do.
Chris, it's good to see you. I appreciate it. It's
Thank you
nice
for
meeting
having
you. I
me.
really did. Everybody have a great
Thanks, Dan.
Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.